Hello everyone and welcome to today's Friday Live. Fiona Lukey's here coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. I know I've started a little later this week. I normally start an hour earlier, but I had client sessions and things that I couldn't move. So with clients in different time zones. So starting a little bit later today, but as always, coming to you live. It's very warm here today, quite muggy. We are still in the height of summer, being February the 6th, generally our hottest month of the year. I do want to start things off today by wishing my husband a very happy birthday, although it was yesterday, but wishing him a very happy birthday for yesterday. I had such a busy day yesterday. I didn't even get a chance to post about it and make it. I normally write a nice post for him on social media, and it just didn't happen yesterday. Yesterday was one of those days. So anyway, honey, happy birthday from yesterday, and we're going to have a lovely lunch together tomorrow. So to all those Aquarians out there, quirky little people that you are, I do love my Aquarian folk. Happy birthday to all the Aquarians. It's Aquarian time right now. We're bang smack in the middle of the time of Aquarius, the era of Aquarius, and it's the month of Aquarius. So if you're an Aquarian and you're feeling a lot of the feels right now, that will be one of the reasons why. Seriously, it will be. Okay, so today I want to talk about a couple of things. I've got some questions here. I've also very excited to say that the first ever Relatable retreat, I've just sent everything off to everyone so you can start registering for that. You do need to have done Relatable or be a partner of someone who has. So it's not for everyone, but there's a lot of people in my Relatable community asking me, when is this retreat happening? When can we buy tickets? Blah, blah, blah. How can we register? It's live for you now. So it's live for you in the WhatsApp group and the Facebook group. So and the US peeps, I will be launching details about that very soon when I'm coming to the US and running the retreat there, which will be later on this year in August. So with that out of the way, I just want to say a warm welcome to everyone who has just joined us. Feel free to say hi. Let me know where you're listening from. And if you're new to my work or to me, really what I do with these lives are about giving you another way of viewing relationship issues, conflict, another way of showing up in the world. You know, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and people are overwhelmed, overstimulated, overthinking, stuck. There's a lot of people stuck in their analytical minds. And, you know, all of this, when we're in that state, affects our level of well-being, affects our emotional capacity, and affects our ability to let go and move forward. So, you know, everything that I'm talking about to me is all about setting you free emotionally. Okay. It's all about setting you free emotionally, because emotionally free people do really, really well in their relationships. They navigate the difficulties of life completely differently to people who are not emotionally free. And the feeling of being emotionally free is the most amazing thing. As someone who spent many years not feeling emotionally free, I can honestly say having access to that in my life has completely transformed my marriage, my relationships, how I feel about me, how I navigate difficulties, how I navigate life when life hits, when it kind of knocks the wind out of you unexpectedly. You know, that's what life does, right? So for me, having access to emotional freedom is the key to great relationships. It's the key to well-being. It's the key to being able to let go. It's the key to being present. It's the key to everything. So everything that I teach, the direction that I point you in, is about enabling you to have emotional freedom. To me, emotional freedom is the most important thing, because emotional freedom leads to clarity of mind. And clarity of mind is incredible. As human beings, we do best with less on our mind, And right now, people have got so much stuff going through their heads, so much on their mind, that they just get stuck in what I call these endless thought loops, right? And when we're stuck in an endless thought loop, It is very hard, very, very hard to move forward. It's exhausting. It's debilitating. And I can tell you right now, you feel like you're half alive, like you're in survival mode. And survival mode, like I just want to say to you, if you are someone living in survival mode, there's a whole different way of being in the world, right? If you are feeling like you're in survival mode, I know that feeling. I've been there myself. So everything that I talk about on these Friday Lives is to help point you in a different direction. Okay, it's to help point you in a different direction. And if you're just joining us, feel free to say hi. Let me know when you're listening from. And to everyone out there, my retreat, my first ever relatable in-person retreat, is now live. I will share the link here. I look forward to seeing my relatable students there, and you're more than welcome to bring your loved ones. So let's talk about some of the most pressing questions you guys have around your relationships. And as always, say hi, let me know where you're listening from. But I would really, I'm going to talk about some of the most common ones that I get coming through. And so I've had quite a few this week. So I've kind of broken them down into kind of two main questions, okay? Just so I can then get through all the questions that people have sent through. So the first question here, I think this is really great. So I've kind of broken this down into this question here, because I had about 5 questions come through kind of on the same vein, all right? So the question is, hi Fiona, my partner needs way more reassurance than I do. I'm trying to find a way to give them what they want without being resentful. Is the reason why they need more assurance because I'm being cold or because they're being needy, right? And I think this is a great question because, hi Jedi Luke, how you doing? Thanks for saying hi. Nice to see someone here on YouTube. Anyone else out there want to say hi? Let me know. Appreciate it. So what I was saying is, this is such a common thing when people are like, I'm with someone who needs a lot of reassurance. Do they need reassurance because I'm being cold, or are they just too needy, right? This is so common. And I relate to this so much because I used to relate to my husband that way too. Prior to this understanding, prior to everything that I've learned, prior to living through the lens of this, prior to having emotional freedom, this was a huge thing for me. And so I really, really get this question. I understand why you're asking it. When you're in a relationship with someone who needs a lot of reassurance, and is it because you're cold or is it because they're too needy? Now, what if I said it's neither of those things? It's actually neither of those things, right? It's not that they're too needy. It's not that you're being cold. I think the first thing that we've all got to stop doing, and this is tricky for people because human beings love to do this. They love to put things in boxes because when we put things in a box, it makes it easier to understand. It makes it easier to assimilate. But we love to put labels on things. Oh, this person's needy. Oh, you're cold. Or you're sensitive. You're this, you're that. And the reason why I want to challenge some of these labels and boxes is because the minute you put someone into a box, curiosity disappears. Assumptions roll in. And when people work off assumptions, that is diabolical for relationships. We stop seeing each other with fresh eyes. You've got to be able to see each other with fresh eyes. I see my husband with fresh eyes all the time. We've been married 22 years. It'll be 22 years this year, right? I see my husband with fresh eyes all the time. Now, fresh eyes opens up a whole different way of relating, right? A level of lightness and playfulness and a whole different level of connection when you can look at someone with fresh eyes. So the first thing I would say is drop the labels. It's not that they're needy and it's not that you're cold, right? Just take that off the table. Because the minute we put a label on something, we become that label. We start gathering all the evidence to justify that label, right? That's what we do. We justify all the evidence to become that label. And we'll find all the reasons why that label is true. And then we're now living out of assumptions. Oh, yeah, that's because he's really needy. Now, sometimes when we operate out of assumptions, or quite often when we operate out of assumption. Hey, Melissa, hi, you liked and subscribed. Awesome. Thanks for liking and subscribing. I really appreciate that, Melissa. And welcome. Love to know where you're from when you get a sec. Always love to know where people are listening from, what part of the world you're in. When you're operating out of an assumption, nothing will change. You'll feel like it's Groundhog Day. You know, Groundhog Day, we're having the same conversations all the time. You're going around the same old things again and again and again, and it feels like you can't get any traction, or maybe you're having the same arguments. That's the reason why that happens is people are looking at each other through a lens of assumption. Oh, you're just doing that because you're difficult. Oh, yeah, that's because you're needy. Oh, that's because you're terrible with emotions. Oh, that's because, you know, X, Y, Z. And the minute you do that, all possibility falls away of anything else. People do not have emotional freedom, right? I started this chat talking about the power and importance of emotional freedom, why that matters so much, and why that is an enormous basis of the work that I do. So when you're operating out of assumption, you just come back to the same old thing. People don't get to see each other with fresh eyes. And this is where things feel like Groundhog Day and they can feel stale. So the first thing I'm going to say is, if you're in a relationship with a person who needs a lot of reassurance, it's not because they're needy, because that's generally the label people get, or it's not because you're cold. That's the other label people get, right? What we need to be able to do, and this happens when you have emotional freedom, right, is you can show up to a moment without all of the filters already in place that people don't even know they have. I started working with a new couple yesterday, and I was helping them see the filters that they already have in place with each other. And they were shocked. They couldn't see them. They didn't know they were there. And after I pointed them out a couple of times, they were like, wow, I had no idea that I was communicating through that lens, through that filter. I had no idea that that was in place and that's what I was projecting. No idea whatsoever. Now, the great thing when you see something new, when you can see the filter that you have, and so many of us have it, is you get to choose something else, right? You know, a big part of this is making the invisible visible. We can't choose what we can't see. We can't change what we can't see. We can't do things differently if we can't see what needs to change. And, you know, so drop the labels, guys. Don't see someone, drop the whole thing of, oh, you're needy or you're cold. Drop all of that. Because if you see someone as continuously needy, are you going to have the emotional capacity to reach out to them without being loaded, without being resentful, without bringing a whole heap of emotional baggage, judgment, frustration to that person? Now, the answer is no. You're not going to be able to do it. Now, if you can't show up without that stuff, it will be impossible for you to create emotional safety, right? It'll be impossible. Neither one of you will feel emotionally safe. And this is where you end up with two me's. I represent me, and no we, right? Because when people are operating out of a label, or when people are operating out of a place of assumption, we start to look at someone through a lens of blame, judgment, resentment, frustration, right? And then we look at all the evidence as to why that's true, and then we double down on our position. I see this with people all the time, and especially when they first start working with me, which is totally understandable. Like, there's no judgment here, guys. I used to do it as well, where it's like, okay, let me explain to you why this is my partner's problem. Let me explain to you why you need to explain this to my husband or my wife, right? Let me show you why the problem's them. Okay. And this is what people genuinely believe. And they've got lots and lots of evidence to support that. But of course, what we don't realize is the filter that flavors everything. And so if you don't know about the filter that you have, right? If you don't know about the filter that you have, it will be impossible for you to create something different. It will be impossible for you to show up with emotional freedom, clarity of mind, without all the emotional baggage. And it's your capacity to do that generates emotional safety, right? When people feel emotionally safe with each other, goodwill goes through the roof, right? My husband and I have, and I don't say this to brag, right? I don't want you to hear it that way. I'm just trying to show you what's possible. My husband and I went from verge of divorce separation when we were about 6.5 years married to there being so much emotional safety now that I am not concerned in any way, shape, or form if we have a difference of opinion. If we're not on the same page about something, I don't care. Like, I don't dread that. Whereas most people I speak to dread that happening. Oh goodness, I'm just trying to do my best to not set them off, because when we don't agree, when we're not on the same page, we just it's just explosions. It's just diabolical. It's so hard to come back together. And so then this is how you end up walking on eggshells. Right? And that's a horrible feeling, right? It really is. We work hard, we go out and do our best in the world. You want to be able to come home and feel safe. And I mean safe emotionally. You want to go home and relax. You want to come home and feel accepted and understood and loved and supported and listened to. This is what we're craving, right? Now, when you can generate that with another human being, it's the most amazing feeling in the world. The most amazing feeling in the world. My husband and I were just saying this last night. We were sitting on our deck having a glass of champagne, celebrating his birthday. And we were just saying last night how grateful we feel that we're getting older and it just gets better. As we're aging together, as our children are getting older, as we're having more time on our own without children, it's just getting better and better. It's not getting harder and harder. It's getting better and better. And I am incredibly grateful for that, as is he. And I can tell you right now, it's this understanding that I live and breathe, that I teach, that's in my Relatable program. This is what has enabled that to happen. I actually got a lovely email last week from someone's husband whose wife had done the Relatable program. And he said to me, which was really lovely, he said, I just want you to know, Fiona, that my wife and I have reconciled because of what she's learned in your program. And we feel so lucky. Like, it's just completely different. Things have changed so much that, yeah, they've reconciled. And he said it's better than ever. And it's like it was when we first got together. Now, some of you are going to listen to this and feel skeptical. And I understand that. But it is entirely possible for things to feel like they did when you first got together. And then even better than that, right? Because you've grown, you've changed, you're different people in terms of how you've evolved, right? We're always constantly evolving, us human beings, whether we're aware of it or not. Now, I put it out there in the world and I think to myself, who would not want that? I can't think of a person who would not want that over anything in your life. If you could have that, if you could be connected with someone where it's getting better and better, where you feel safe emotionally, you feel accepted, understood, you can be yourself and not be judged for it, that you're loved regardless of your frailties. Everyone's got frailties, guys. Human frailties are just a natural, normal part of life. Where you feel seen, like, is that not what we all want? We need connection. Connection is the lifeblood of a human being. We need connection. We can convince ourselves we're better off without it. We don't need this, we don't need that. But I'm telling you right now, you absolutely need connection. And not just any old connection. Deep connection where you feel heard, understood, seen, safe. So the first thing I want to say, and I'm going to come back to the question, which was basically my partner needs a lot of reassurance. Is it because they're needy or is it because I'm cold? The first thing I'd want to say is, and this is a tricky thing for you to get your head around sometimes, I don't have anything on the fact that my husband may need reassurance. I don't have anything on that. And so what does that mean? It means that I've got no thinking around that. If my husband needs reassurance, I'll give him reassurance. I don't have any thinking about that. I don't have a filter about that. I don't have any, oh, here we go again. God, I just told him, yesterday that I love him. Why does he need to know? I don't have any of that. I don't have any judgment on it. I don't have a dissatisfied filter that goes through in my head. I don't. It's like, he's my best friend. He's my lover. He's my person. If he needs reassurance, I'll give it to him. Like, what's the big deal? If I need reassurance, he'll give it to me. I don't count how many times he's needed reassurance, right? I just want you to hear this. I don't go around counting it. Going, oh, well, I gave him reassurance twice yesterday. That should be enough. Says who? Right? I just find this stuff hilarious when we go, well, I reassured them yesterday. They should be fine. Really? Based on what? Based on your view of the world? Okay, but is your view of the world the view of the world? Like, it's just a view of the world, right? It's not the view of the world. Like, this is the first thing people have got to see. You have a view and you're allowed to have it, but it's not the view. And when I say the view, I mean a universal truth, right? Unless it's a universal truth, it's not the view. It's just yours. And just because you have that view does not make you right. Like, why be stingy with people? If someone needs reassurance, give it to them. But without the judgment, without the emotional loadedness, without the, oh, here we go again. That's what I mean by the filter that people have. And you have to understand, and people say this to me all the time. In fact, the conversation I had with this new couple yesterday, the conversation was, well, yeah, I might think that, but I don't say it, right? You've got to understand, if you think that, it's in your energy field. That's just how it works, right? Your energy field is a reflection of your emotional state. So if your emotional state is, oh, here we go again. Oh, man, what? They want to know, what? I just did this yesterday. Or I did this on Monday. It's like, that's no difference than someone saying, why should I wash the dishes? I did them last week. Like, you know what I mean? It's just how it is, guys, right? If you love someone, you want to be there for that person. If they need reassurance, why be stingy about it? Just give them reassurance without the judgment. Because I can tell you right now, if you're giving reassurance through a lens of judgment, they will want more reassurance, right? Because what are they experiencing from you, right? They're experiencing judgment, right? Now, when we feel judged, does anyone feel secure in themselves when they feel judged? Anyone? Anyone feel secure when you feel judged? You normally feel far more hyper aware. You're normally questioning yourself when you feel judged. This is true for most people. So you have to understand, if you're with someone who needs reassurance and you're judging them and you kind of, it's going through that filter of, here we go again. Like, I just told them I loved them yesterday. I just told them that, like, do you know what I mean? And you're judging that. You're just exacerbating what already is. You're irritating that thing instead of just quietly going, sure. Like, if my husband needs something, I'm like, yeah, no worries, babe. And if I'm not in the headspace to do that, to give that, I'll own it. That's the other thing people struggle with. People struggle to own where they are. We kind of hide it. We defend it. We hope that no one will notice it, right? Because we've got our own judgment around it. Like, this is what I mean by being emotionally free, right? When you're emotionally free, you don't judge your experience. When you're emotionally free, you don't judge somebody else's experience. When you're emotionally free, you've got nothing to prove, nothing to hide, and nothing to defend. There is nothing, right? When you're emotionally free, that's what emotional freedom is. I don't have to prove myself to you. I don't have to defend myself. I've got nothing to hide. I can stay in my emotional lane without feeling like I've got to take on board your stuff or rescue someone, or all of the stuff that people do when they don't have emotional freedom. This is what we do. And then we project that onto somebody else. Right? This is why emotional freedom matters so much. When you have emotional freedom, you get to live life without all of that mental load, with all of that weight. It's amazing. It's literally an amazing feeling. And this is what I mean when I say people are only kind of half alive, right? Because when you've got all that mental weight, when you've got that load, when it feels like you've got something to defend, when it feels like you've got something to prove, when it feels like you've got something to hide, when it feels like you've got something to justify, that's a lot of mental load. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of analyzing. It's a lot of talk. Like, it's just a lot, right? Now, think about it like this. When you've got all of that mental load, how present are you? How present are you? Now, remember this, and I was trying to explain this yesterday. The present now is the only place love truly resides. It's the only place love truly resides. And so, sometimes people will say to me, and this applies to men and women, because I talk about human beings. I don't talk about men and women, because as human beings, we all operate the same way, right? We may express ourselves differently. I get that. But the way we create our reality, there's far more sameness. And I'm far more interested in the sameness than the differences, right? Differences seem to really pit us against each other. And then there's a lot of information we need to absorb to understand the seemingly big differences that people have. Our differences aren't that big, guys. Yeah, men are physically stronger than women, sure. But I'm talking about like internally how our reality is created. It's exactly the same, right? We may think about different things, but I'm not talking about what we think about. I'm talking about how we generate our reality, right? It's exactly the same. So you have to understand, guys, that when we don't understand how things work, we overcomplicate things. We make things twice as difficult for ourselves. We don't have access to emotional freedom. And when we don't have access to emotional freedom, the worst of us comes out. And this is what people do to each other all the time. Like that's the point I was getting to. Sorry, I got off track there. But what I was trying to say is a lot of people come to me and say, what do I do when my husband is upset? Or what do I do when my wife is upset? And, what would you say in this situation? And this was something that a client asked me a couple of weeks ago. My client was saying to me, my wife said to me, I don't even know why you married me. And he goes, I didn't know what to do with that. Like, I don't know what to say to that. Like, she's just being too full on. And I said, well, it's really easy. You say, I married you because I love you. I married you because you were the most beautiful woman I've ever met. I married you because I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I married you because, like, that's what you say. And he looked at me aghast, shocked. He goes, oh, well, I mean, I don't know. That's not easy to do. And I said, how come? I said, I find it really easy to do. Is that not what your wife would want to hear? Is that not what anyone would want to hear? Are we not looking for reassurance there? Why would you not want to give her reassurance? Or your husband, if it's your husband. Doesn't matter. Like I said, same thing, same. Male, female, doesn't matter. Why would you not want to say that to someone who's the father or mother of your children, who you love? Why would you not want them to feel good? Why would you not want them to feel seen and treasured and understood? Why would you not want to give that to your person? I hear stuff like this all the time. People will give me 1,000 reasons why they can't. But then they come to me and say, but I want you to help me fix my marriage, right? I'm like, no worries. Absolutely. Let's do that. I can help you with that. But this is why we are. Here's my book, Funny Little Humans, right? That's what I call us. We're funny little humans, right? We get caught up in all of these reasons why we can't. So we hold back and we judge. We don't mean to. There's an innocence in us all. And we get stingy. And then we put labels on things. Oh, well, my wife's hard work. Oh, my husband's really self-centered. And then we look and we relate through that label. This is the stuff you've got to challenge first. This is the foundational stuff. Before you look at things like attachment styles and personality types and all the other stuff, it's like if you're doing all of that on top of none of this is being taken care of, you'll feel like you're taking 5 steps forward and 10 steps backward, right? Because you're always going to come back to your filter. Right? So take the labels away. You got to know your filters. You got to be able to see them. And everything that I teach in Relatable will enable you to see that, because you're going to see things in such a different way. Now, once you see that, like, for example, like I'm not proud of this, so I'm laughing about it now because it happened so long ago, but I'm not proud of it at all. I was mortified at the time when I realized it. But, I could see one of the reasons why my husband and I were struggling is because I was looking at him through a lens of arrogance. Like I arrogantly thought, there was a lot of arrogance, that I knew better about many things, right? I find it funny that I ever used to think that way. Like it's hilarious, but I did. There's a lot of arrogance in the way I would relate to him. So I felt like I knew better because I read more books. I'd done more personal development programs. I just knew more stuff. So that in my mind, that made me better, right? So of course I would listen through that very arrogant lens, and that would flavor everything. I'd wonder why my husband wouldn't talk to me, why he would shut down. Why would you want to talk to someone who's judging you? Why would you want to talk to someone who thinks they're better than you? Like, that sucks. Who wants to do that, right? And I didn't know I was doing that. Like in my defense, I guess, if I can come up with a defense, I didn't know it. I didn't see that. The day that I saw it, it was a very emotional afternoon for me. It was the shock of it, the realization of it, and then moving through the shame of that and whatever that meant. But man, oh man, oh man, once I got to the other side of that, the gift in being able to see that, I'm still grateful for all these years later. Greatest thing that ever happened to me is being able to see that, being the gift of that awareness, being given the gift of that awareness. Like it's a gift when you get to see your stuff, because now you get to do something else, right? So take the labels away, guys. Stop looking at your partner and putting them in a box. Or you can apply this to anyone, your kids, your family members. Like the minute you put someone in a box, oh, they're needy, or they're cold, or they're this, or they're that. They're this attachment style, they're that attachment style. Like it's a slippery slope from there, because everything that you do and respond to will be through the lens of finding the evidence to justify why that is an issue. And that's a hard thing to overcome. So when I talk about emotional freedom and being able to look at someone with fresh eyes is, if you've ever seen that one as needy, that person is needy, you got to let that go. Like I don't look at my husband as needy. I don't look at my husband like whatever. I just don't. I don't engage in that thinking. That's not a filter that exists for me anymore. And it's so freeing. Like to me, greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Oh, hey, Leanne. Yay, I'm free for your life, Fiona. Hi to everyone from New Zealand. Fiona, your work and what you share is a gift that keeps on giving. Since doing the Relatable course a few years ago now, my life and outlook is increasingly expansive, loving, and clear. Oh, thank you, Leanne. Oh, my goodness. Did you know we're doing a retreat? I'm doing a Relatable retreat. I know you're in New Zealand, but if you are able to come, I'd love to have the opportunity to meet you in person, Leanne. I really, really would, honey. You've always been so supportive and such a champion of me and my work, and the impact in your life is extraordinary. So thank you. I so appreciate your words, Leanne. You're so kind, honey. So kind, so generous, really generous. Very lucky to have such generous souls around me. Thank you, Leanne. Really appreciate that. Hi, Jody. Hi. The retreat is, I can put the link up for you. It's on the 1st to the 3rd of May in Melbourne. I just sent the link out. I was very excited. I sent the link out this morning. I put it in the Relatable Facebook group and the WhatsApp group. Here is the link. It's very exciting. There it is. There's the link right there. If you want to join us. You have to have done Relatable though, guys. It's not open to everyone. I'm sorry. This is for my Relatable family. So if you have done Relatable, doesn't matter how long ago it is, this is for you. If you want to join us though, just enroll in Relatable beforehand. Okay, if you want to join us, this is the first time I've run this retreat ever since I started. I've been running Relatable since October of 2020. And I have not done a retreat before. And one of the reasons for that was when I started running it, we were deep in lockdown here in Melbourne. Like we were deep in lockdown, and we were in lockdown here. We were the most locked down place in the world there at one point. And so even after we came out of lockdown, I think we all had a bit of PTSD, and we all were not feeling like we could plan anything because we were worried that the government would just put us into lockdown again. So I didn't run one for quite some time, and now I felt like this year is the year that this needs to happen. Hence why there's one in Melbourne and there is one in the US. Okay, so if you can join us. Hi, Diane. Hello, darling. I really hope you can. I get to see you in person at the Relatable Treat as well. Oh, thank you, Diane. Relatable is awesome. Thank you so much, honey. I really appreciate you saying that. Jody, did you say hi to you? I hope I said hi to you. Hi, Jody. Thank you, darling. All right. Well, that is the end of my live stream for today. I will be back here next Friday. If you've got a question that you want me to answer, send it to hello@fionalukis.com.au. Or you can join my mailing list. I always send out a recording of this and a synopsis of it to the people on my email list. Oops, hang on. You can send, that's the email to send it to. And if you would like to find out more about Relatable, I can put the link to that here for you as well. Okay, so there's the link to the first ever Relatable retreat. And there's a link to Relatable. Relatable retreat is for students of Relatable and their loved ones. So you can bring your partner if you want to. Okay, if you want your partner to have an experience of this, they're most welcome. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you next week. Have a great week. Ciao.